Hey, it's Midnight Raven, and you join me for part 2 of my Saw Traps tier list ranking. If you haven't seen part 1, I will link it down below or at the end of this video. Today we are ranking Saw Traps. We have already ranked quite a few if you saw part 1, and let me just show you. So here are some of the traps we have already ranked. These are from all 7 films, including Jigsaw, and the 8th film, which is the new one called Spiral, we are not ranking as I still have not seen it. So here we are. So far, we have the Angel Trap, the Brazen Bull, the Cyanide Box, the Freezer Room, and the Furnace Trap as my top traps. We do have a bunch of traps down the bottom that we still need to find a place for on my board. Like I said, if you haven't seen part 1, then go check it out. We are ranking them on brutal deaths, well thought out, might survive, can survive, and child's play, which are basically traps you could make at home and had little to no thought. So let's get into the video and rank some more cool traps. So I think the first one we should start off would be one of the first traps that was in the Saw franchise, and that is the reverse bear trap. They did use it multiple times within the film, but the first one to have the reverse bear trap was Amanda. It is a survivable one, and she did survive herself. Hoffman also survived, so it is possible to survive the trap. You don't necessarily want to have to. Okay, now let's go for the nerve gas room. So this is basically a room that was filling with nerve gas, i.e. basically the entire house was filling with this gas. Could you survive? Possibly. I think if you got medical attention in time, you might survive. Okay, silo trap. This was a trap that basically you were in a silo grain silo, and basically the silo would fill up with more grain, and eventually you would obviously suffocate being in the trap. It's a very simple concept of a trap, and for that reason it goes in child's play. It's just a silo that fills up. It's not really anything exciting. Next, we're going to do Pound of Flesh. So if you haven't seen the movies, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm going to tell you. So Pound of Flesh is basically, yes, as you might seem, a pound of flesh. Chop off your arm, chop off your leg, or as in the movie, the fat guy cuts off a part of his stomach, or the woman cuts off her entire arm up to the elbow. As long as the amount of flesh weighed a pound, you would be able to survive. So this is one you might survive. You might bleed out, but you would survive. Okay, next, let's do the drill chair. So the drill chair was basically a chair that had these drills, and it's a very simple concept. You probably could survive. It's basically a really basic trap that he thought out when he first started doing the traps. If you watched the thing, it probably is survivable in my eyes. Okay, the electric staircase. This was an electrified staircase that if you stood on it, you then got electrified. Depending on how high the voltage is, you could survive. So if that's at all possible, I would maybe say you might survive. Maybe. Okay, the electric tub. The electric tub is a bathtub that you sit in, and you have to take the voltmeter up to a certain amount of volts by attaching hooks to parts of your bodies. That means attaching them through the skin to create a current. I don't think you could survive. I think it's a well thought out one. Public execution. Now, this was an interesting one. This had 3 people in the trap. They had a girl that was hanging over, 2 men. They each had a saw. It was either one, kill the other, or kill the woman. She was having an affair, and in the end, they brought the saws into the middle. She was brought down on them, and she died. They each had a saw that they could have killed. One could have pushed it to the other man and killed each other. They decided to kill the woman. It's a simple concept for me. The fact that it had 3 different people. So it is, you could survive it, not necessarily, depending on who obviously picked who to die. Okay, what should we do next? Let's do the water cube. The water cube was an interesting concept. It's a cube that fills up with water, and then obviously you drown. But in the movie, he gets the tube to a pen and does a tracheotomy on him and creates a hole in the airway so that he could breathe. It is a survivable trap, as you saw in the movie. Would I do that in real life to survive? Probably not. I probably wouldn't even think about it. Let's be honest. Okay, the scalper. This one pulled at my heart because I have long hair and I'm forever catching my hair. And just to imagine being scalped alive was... Oh. This woman has her long ponytail attached to a cog. And as the timer ticks on, it winds up her hair and slowly pulls the hair from her scalp. Now, I don't know if you could die from scalping. Just having the hair pulled off, you'd probably bleed quite a lot. But whether you could survive scalping, I'm going to put it in might. I don't know for definite that you could survive it, but I don't know if you die for definite. They obviously died in the movie, but obviously that's the movie. Shotgun color. So the shotgun color was basically attached to Jigsaw's heart rate, and if the heart rate went down and he died, then the collar activated and the shotgun bullets around the outside blew her head off. This one, you couldn't really survive on the fact that it was attached to his heart monitor, and the chances of survival, you obviously wouldn't know. So I'm going to put it in child's play. Okay. Next, we're going to do shotgun chair. So this was one of Jigsaw's earlier, basically traps. And it was basically a shotgun pointed at you. Really easy concept. Very little imagination. So we're going to put it in the child's play. Pendulum trap. Now, this was really cool. This was a really cool one for me. The pendulum trap was you were attached to a rack. You had 2 little vices each side. If you put your hands in the vices and broke your fingers, this great big pendulum thing wouldn't chop out your intestines. If you're willing to break your fingers, you could survive. If you were willing to break your fingers, though, I mean... losing your fingers or having your insides ripped out. It is a choice. Okay, the gallows. This was an interesting concept. It had 2 people. It had a little old lady that had loads of family, or it had a foreign guy that didn't have much family, and you had to choose between which one of them deserved to live. Whether the person that didn't have any children decided to live and the one that had family did. This one is survivable if you're obviously the right person who's chosen to survive. Okay, laser collar. Laser collar was a collar put around you with lasers that would come and basically peel your head into multiple things. The laser collar was set off by something, and I can't remember what. You would definitely die from it. It is kind of well thought out, I guess, in its concept. Okay, the lawnmower room. This was basically where you're hanging up from a pole, and underneath you is a bunch of lawnmowers turned upside down with the blades. If you fall on them lowers, you are definitely dead. There is no surviving that. For me, I think that is a brutal death. I think being chopped up by lawnmowers and not necessarily dying instantly and bleeding out, unless it chopped your head off, would probably be classed as fairly painful. Okay, let's do the spine cutter. This was a trap that really didn't wasn't really highlighted very much in the film. The guy had it on his neck, and if one other guy died, or I think it was his heart rate went down, it's been a long time since I've seen the films, 2 little things would sever the nerves in his back, killing him. You couldn't survive, but in all honesty, it's a child's play thing. It's basically just cutting nerves. It's not really thought out in my eyes. Okay, the steam room. So the steam room included 2 people. One of them had to go through the steam, which was so hot it would burn your flesh off. Another guy had to turn the steam on and off, but the steam would then go on to him. So it is a survivable game. You might get really burnt. That is a thing. But you could survive. Okay, the truck trap. Now, the truck trap was a multiple trap scenario. You had different people. One was attached to a car by his back with glue, and all he had to do was rip the skin off his back to reach the contraption in front of him to stop his car flying forward, impaling somebody and ripping limbs off other people. So if you were willing to tear your back with the skin off, you'd probably bleed. But I think it's a well thought trap on the fact that it didn't feature just one element, it had 3. The next one we're going to do is the spike trap. Now, this was one of my favorite traps in all of Saw. It was a husband and wife. He was an abuser, and basically the spikes that connected them were going to be the binds that basically released her from her abusive husband. All she had to do was to take the poles out that were impaling all their vital organs, and they would survive. The last one would mean that her husband would 100% die, but she would survive. And I believe it was the best trap they did. Very simplistic, but perfect in its execution. The next we're going to do is the oxygen clamps. So there were 2 guys. There was a guy that smoked a lot and a guy that didn't really smoke at all. And as they took a breath, these clamps would clamp around their rib cage and slowly kill them. It's a very methodical trap, and obviously breathing is an everyday occurrence that you don't really take for granted. I would say that it's a well thought out trap. I don't know if you would survive. Breathing is a necessity, and really you need to breathe. Okay, the motorcycle trap. Now, the motorcycle trap, I don't remember much about. I must admit, there are many traps in these movies. I think there's like over 70 in total. It's very hard to remember, but basically they had a bike that went round, and the concept for the trap was the bike powered the trap, and I can't remember how he dies in the movie. He's hanging. There's blades, I believe, at the bottom. The motorbike is what's keeping it running. It's a very confusing trap to me. I would say it's child's play. I can't remember the trap fully. I apologize for that. Okay, impalement wheel. So this was a wheel that you were basically impaled. Now, could you survive being impaled? That would be the question. I would say it's maybe well thought out. You're basically on a table, you're impaled. I don't know if you'd survive, per se. Okay, the necktie trap. Now, what was this one? I'm sorry, but there are so many traps, it is hard to remember. And it's been a while since I've watched the movies, as it took so long for the new movie to come out. So the necktie trap was basically collars that were around your neck. The idea was to reach a key at the other end of the room, which was encased in a box. And if you didn't get the key in time, these collars pulled you back and this triangle-shaped blade cut your head off. Now, it is possible to survive if you got the key. So it is possible to survive that trap, mind you. Okay, the pain train. So the pain train was a great big blade that went along a train line and basically cut through your middle. It's a very easy concept. So for that reason, it is going in Child's Play. Basic Child's Play in my eyes. Okay, the razor maze. So the razor maze was an entire maze full of razor wire. And the more you tried to find the exit, the more cuts you got. So yes, you'd probably bleed, but I don't know. I would put it in might survive. I don't think it's a cut and dry you die. Okay, trap wire. So this was trap wire that basically was on the stairs, I think, and it cut your legs or your throat or your things. I'm not sure you could survive, but it wasn't the most concepted trap in the entire film. Shotgun shell keys. So this was a shotgun that fired. So for that reason, it's going in Child's Play. It was basically a gun that shot when you pulled a key. It's not really an interesting concept. Okay, shotgun hall, I think it says. Shotgun hall. It's very hard to read the writing. So shotgun hall was basically a room full of shotguns and basically a heavy object, the quadra shotgun. I mean, I don't think you'd survive. I think you'd definitely die. Shotgun blasts are kind of like, I don't think you could survive, in all honesty. It's not really well thought out. We're going to have to put it in Child's Play. It's not the most interesting concept. Okay, the Century trap. So which one was this? So the Century gun trap was basically when you entered the room, these Century guns basically shot you. Kind of a mediocre concept, being shot by another gun. I mean, they shoot you quite often in this with guns. And then the last one is the wisdom tooth thing. So this was basically, he had to take so many of his teeth out to get a code so that he could then escape the room. And for that thing, it's going in can survive. You could have survived having your wisdom teeth pulled out. And that is all the traps, as you can see. I can't get them all on the screen, but that is all the Saw traps up until the new Spyro form came out, put in order. So my top traps are the Angel Trap, the Brazen Bull, the Cyanide Box, the Freezer Room, the Furnace Trap, the Lawnmower Room, and my personal overall favorite is the Spike Trap. If you beg to differ, let me know down below. If you think I should watch Spyro, give it a big thumbs up. I will watch Spyro and then I will obviously adjudicate and add their traps to my little thing. If you want to see more from me, go and check out part 1 of this video. If you want to share your personal opinion on the Saw franchise or any of their traps down below, I love to read your comments. If you'd like to like and subscribe to me, that would be amazing. You can join my little family. And if you want to see me on Instagram, where I load videos and stuff on there, maybe on a day-to-day basis, do check me out. So like, subscribe, big thumbs up, and I'll see you very soon for another video. Take care and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.